Welcome to the Bristol Bay Sustainability Summit. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the sponsors. Thank you so much for those welcoming remarks, setting a really amazing tone for our morning. Our very hardworking summit planning team who made today possible. I know we've clapped for them a couple times, but let's do it again. It took a lot to bring us all together here today. Amazing. I'd also like to thank the dynamic group of speakers who have traveled here to share and engage with us. I know that there are so many people in this room who lead very busy lives, and the fact that you have taken the time to come here and share and engage and learn together is a testament to the dedication of this region to the theme of this summit, to reaching a vibrant, strong future for our communities. I'd also like to thank all of the participants for being a part of this exciting gathering and step toward furthering that vision. A bit of background first for those not familiar with UTBB. We're a tribally chartered consortium of 15 member tribal governments from throughout Bristol Bay. Our Yupik, Dena'ina, and Alutiiq tribal citizens constitute over 80% of the population of Bristol Bay, and our mission is very simple, and that is to protect our way of life. And we cannot accomplish our mission without ensuring our communities are sustainable and strong. So our work includes helping to promote and support self-sustaining and self-determined communities, a really big underlying theme of this gathering. I'd also like to start to just share a bit of background about myself. I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of you in this room, but not all of you. My Yupik name is Achak, and my Irish name is Alannah Hurley. I'm very blessed to be a part of our amazing team at UTBB and serve our people as the executive director. I'm actually named after my grandmas in both ways, in my Irish way and Yupik way. I'm named after my late Amauk, great-grandma Achak, who actually came down from the Kuskokwim region to Bristol Bay just after the birth of the commercial fishery to work in the salmon industry in Clark's Point. The name Alannah actually comes from my late Irish grandma, the grandchild of Irish immigrants who came to the US to escape the potato famine in Ireland in the mid-19th century. I'm told Achak spoke little to no English, but worked at the then thriving Clark's Point cannery, hanging nets and set netting. She and her daughter, my grandmother Munchok, set roots in Clark's Point, and my nan, like many women in her generation in this area, navigated the changing times for Yupik people by raising her family, balancing a traditional subsistence way of living and commercial fishing for income. My Irish grandma, Alannah's family, settled in the San Francisco Bay Area and gave birth to a very large, very Irish Catholic family, including my father, Desmond Hurley. My dad, the only one of his entire family to leave the Bay Area and to marry outside of Irish Catholic families, kind of the rogue Hurley, came up to Bristol Bay through his Catholic Church connections to work for Armstrong's Air Service in the 1980s as a van driver. And the story goes that he met my mom while picking she and my grandma up, and here we are today. My parents and nan raised my brother and I in Clark's Point, immersed in our subsistence way of life, and also in the commercial fishery, and we both are set netters there as well today. And just to kind of touch on something Norm had said about the out-migration of permits, I think Clark's Point people take a lot of pride in being from Clark's Point, and I think it's a really interesting fact that a lot of people don't know, that Clark's Point Beach is one of the only beaches left that the vast majority of the set netters on that beach are still people with Clark's Point roots. And we take a lot of pride in that. And we take pride in making sure that that moves forward in that way. It has provided for our community for generations now. Many in the room share very similar stories of how we've come to be here in Bristol Bay. I share because, like my ancestors, my grandmas, whose names I carry, and our peoples throughout history, we migrate towards opportunity. We adapt to our surroundings, and we make the most of what we know and the resources available to us. We move to fish camp when the salmon arrive. We sail across the Atlantic to America in hopes for a better life. We follow the caribou in the winter. We find the cannery that will buy our fish. Our people's desire to seek solutions and opportunity for the well-being of our communities and our people has and continues to shape our lives, our communities, and our region. It defines who we are. The theme of this gathering is United for a Vibrant Future. Just as our ancestors before us, we've come together for the next 2 days to seek solutions and opportunities for our people to thrive. What do we mean when we say for our people to thrive? To fully understand, I think what we mean when we talked about the intention behind this gathering and when we talk about prosperity and thriving communities, we can revisit one of our foundational values that crosses our Yupik, Alutiq, and Dena'ina cultures, and that's the very core understanding of how our people viewed wealth. Our measure of wealth was not how much, sorry.
You go, girl.
I really struggled to write this, or to come up with a way to communicate this. And I just feel like I've had a lump in my throat that needs to get out. Okay, sorry about that. Our measure of wealth was not how much you could individually accumulate. But instead was measured by how much you could give away. I just want to pause and have us reflect on that and think about what that means and how different the world would be if that very foundational value that we come from was a thread throughout modern society. Our measure of wealth was not how much you could individually accumulate for yourself, but instead was measured by how much you could give away, how much you could take care of others, how much you could take care of your community. As we have struggled with the impacts of colonization, the struggle for individual survival has at times overshadowed this foundation of our identity. The foundation of our people placing value on our collective well-being. Our challenge and hope for the next 2 days is to remember this foundation in our thoughts, in our discussions, and our quest to improve our lives in Bristol Bay. To have a truly sustainable, thriving economy, our people must not just thrive individually, not just a select few families while the vast majority of us struggle. We must work together to thrive as families, as communities, and as a region. So how do we get there? While we don't pretend to have all the answers, we think using this gathering to collaborate and share and begin to turn discussion and visioning into action is a good start. So what do we know? We know that our people and communities want and need meaningful and fulfilling jobs to survive in a modern cash economy. We know that like rural communities across America, we struggle with unemployment and diversifying our local economies. But what we also know is that Bristol Bay has the vision and the will to continue to build a diverse and sustainable economy on our terms. We will determine what that looks like and how it works for our people. What does on our terms look like? Thank you. What does on our terms look like? An economy that honors our values and prioritizes the well-being of our communities and people, not profit at the expense of people, not at the expense of people for the almighty dollar and bottom line. An economy that enriches and honors our sacred traditions and cultures. We are rich here in so many ways that go beyond the dollar. Bristol Bay's lands and waters, our subsistence economy, has sustained our communities physically and spiritually since time immemorial and can continue to do so for generations to come. If we honor our responsibility to be good stewards of this place, we are all so very blessed to call home. What we also know is when Bristol Bay makes up its mind on something and we work together, we make things happen. We already have amazing examples of people creating fulfilling jobs and strong community-based sustainable economies locally in Bristol Bay and across the world. We're going to hear from some of those communities today who are doing very exciting, creative things to ensure our communities are sustainable. Together, let's create the roadmap for our region to reach its full potential for sustainable economic development and prosperity, not only for ourselves, but as a model for a world struggling with the vicious impacts of unchecked greed and individualism. Let's root our regional economy in our view that wealth is not measured in profit at all costs, but instead by how well it's serving our people and our communities' collective well-being. As we go through the next 2 days, let's challenge ourselves to think over, inside, outside, and around the boxes we've been conditioned to think inside when it comes to community and economy. Let's welcome the freedom of discussions unburdened by red tape and lines in the sand. Let's ask ourselves and truly reflect, what can we be doing differently? What is working well for our region and what isn't? Let's dare to envision that bold, exciting future that we want for our people and our region. On behalf of UTBB, Boyana, for your time and your attention and your initiative to be a part of these exciting and very challenging discussions for our collective future. Thank you.